To draw some basic geometric shape, we access shapes in the drawing tools section of the tools panel, and hidden underneath the rectangle tool we can find a number of additional basic geometric shape tools. I'm holding down the mouse button to access those additional tools and then hover over the tools that you want to access. For instance, if I want to select the ellipse tool, I release the cursor on here, and if I now start to draw in my artwork, I'll be drawing elliptical shapes. If you want to see all of these hidden tools at the same time, you can tear off this set of hidden tools by moving your cursor over this little sidebar and releasing it, and you've got this little torn off strip of tools selected. If I select the rectangle tool and click and drag in my artboard, I've very quickly created a rectangle, the exact dimensions that I dragged it at. If I want to move this or reposition this, I jump back to the selection tool and I can now move that around on the artboard. I can also access these little handles on the bounding box around the artwork and change the size of it. I can deselect the artwork by clicking outside the artwork and reselect it like so. If you don't see the bounding box, go to the View menu and choose Show Bounding Box. I can hide it and now it's no longer visible, and I can show it again. To delete an object, make sure it's selected first and hit the delete or backspace key on your keyboard. Now I want to draw some perfect circles. So I can use my ellipse tool to draw circular or elliptical shapes. And if I start dragging in my artboard, I don't necessarily draw a perfect circle. Press the Shift key on the keyboard to draw a perfect circle, or if you had a rectangle tool selected, you would be drawing a perfect square. It's about 5 inches wide. Jump back to the selection tool to reposition it a little bit. And now to draw the next circle that's part of this logo, what I want to do is actually draw a circle from the center out so that they're perfectly aligned. To do that, I hold down the Option or Alt key on the keyboard and start dragging outward. Once again, press the Shift key. So you're now holding down the Alt, Option, and Shift key. And just drag this out to about 4¼ inches. There is an additional way in which we can add an elliptical shape. If I click with my mouse anywhere in the page, Illustrator thinks that I want to draw an object in that location, and it will ask me for the dimensions of that object or of that shape. I'll cancel here because what I really want to do is access that dialog box, but also draw that shape from the center out again. So once again, we hold down that Alt or Option key, because that means that whatever we are adding is going to be added from the center outward. And now I click once with the mouse, and that accesses the dialog box that allows me to enter these settings. So let's make this inner circle about 2 inches in diameter. There we go. Now the rounded rectangle tool works in a very similar way. If we want to add that rectangle with the rounded corners from the center outwards, all I've got to do is move my cursor over that center point, hold down the Alt or Option key again, and click once to access the dialog box. This is cool because we can now add not only the exact dimensions, but also the corner radius. And click OK, and there is your rounded rectangle. No surprise that using the star tool once again works in a similar way. If I click and drag with the star tool, I just see a 4-pointed star. If I click with the star tool, I have access to the radius settings and the number of points on the star. So let's make this, outer radius is the outer points, so about probably 1/4 of an inch, and the inner radius will make about half of that. Click OK. We've got ourselves these tiny little stars here. To move those into position, jump back to the selection tool and drag them into position. Now, whilst we were drawing, you might have noticed these green guides and markers appearing. Well, that's because Illustrator by default enables this feature called Smart Guides, and it's a really handy feature that helps you position your artwork precisely. Now, I'd like to create a copy of this star so I can create the other two. In the Artboards movie, we noticed that the Alt Option key, when held down whilst dragging, generates a copy of the artboard. In this case, we've only got some artwork selected, and holding down that key will allow us just to copy that artwork. And I'll continue to copy that across, and we've now got the basics for this logo created.